"Don't enter that train." The scream cut through the station like a blade. People turned, conversations died mid-sentence. Even the metallic hum of the arriving train seemed to pause for a second. A young black woman stood near the edge of the platform, her chest rising fast, eyes locked on one man. Him, the billionaire. Dressed in a tailored charcoal suit, surrounded by security, he had been seconds away from stepping into the sleek, private carriage reserved only for him. Now, his foot hovered mid-air. Slowly, he turned. Annoyance flashed across his face first, then curiosity, then something harder to read. Who said that? One of his guards barked, already scanning the crowd. "I did." The girl stepped forward before anyone could stop her. "I said don't enter that train." Murmurs spread instantly. "Is she crazy?" Someone whispered. "Who talks to him like that?" Another said, raising a phone to record. The billionaire's eyes narrowed. "Handle this," he muttered to his security. The man moved toward her immediately, but she didn't flinch. "If you step on that train today," she shouted again, louder this time, "you will not come back alive." That did it. Gasps rippled across the platform. More phones came out. Someone let out a nervous laugh. One of the guards grabbed her arm. "You need to come with us." She yanked it back. "No. He needs to listen to me." The billionaire sighed, clearly irritated. "I don't have time for this nonsense." He turned to board again, and then, Daniel. The name landed like a gunshot. Everything stopped, the guards froze. The billionaire froze, slowly, very slowly, he turned back. His eyes locked onto hers again, but this time, the arrogance was gone. Replaced by something else. "How do you know that name?" he asked, his voice low, controlled, but sharp. The crowd leaned in. Even the guards hesitated. The girl took a step closer. "Because you buried it," she said quietly. "Just like you buried everything else from 20 years ago." A flicker of something crossed his face. "No one calls me that," he said. "I know," she replied. "That's why you should listen." His jaw tightened. "You have exactly 10 seconds before I have you removed permanently." She didn't blink. "If you get on that train, it won't just be an accident." Silence. "You'll be targeted." A murmur spread again, louder this time. "What is she saying?" "Targeted. This is serious." The billionaire took a slow step toward her now, waving his guards back. "Explain," he said. The girl exhaled, steadying herself. "There are people who want you gone, not tomorrow, not next week, today. On that train." He let out a short, humorless laugh. "Do you have any idea how many enemies I have?" "That's not new information, but this time is different," she shot back immediately. "This time you don't see it coming." His eyes darkened. "And you do?" "Yes." "How?" She hesitated. And for a moment doubt crept into the crowd, but then she spoke again. "Because I've seen what happens when powerful men think they're untouchable." The words hit harder than expected. The billionaire studied her now, really studying her. Her clothes were simple, her voice steady. No shaking, no hesitation. She wasn't acting. She believed every word she was saying. "Who sent you?" he asked. "No one." "That's not possible. It is when you have nothing to gain," she replied. One of his assistants leaned in. "Sir, we're already behind schedule. This is clearly a publicity stunt. We should proceed." The billionaire didn't respond. His eyes never left the girl. "You're wasting my time," he said finally. "I'm trying to save your life," she shot back. A beat, then she added softly. Like no one saved his. The billionaire's expression changed instantly. "Whose?" he asked. Her voice dropped. "The boy." Silence slammed into the platform. Even the distant announcements seemed to fade away. The billionaire's face went pale. "You need to leave," he said quickly, almost too quickly. "Now, say his name," she pressed. "I said leave. Say his name," she shouted this time, emotion breaking through. The guards stepped forward again, more aggressively now. But the billionaire raised a hand. They stopped. "Enough," he said. His voice was different now, tighter, controlled but barely. He looked at her like she had just reached into a locked room inside his chest and thrown the door open. "You don't know what you're talking about," he said. "I know you chose your empire over him," she replied. A sharp inhale came from someone in the crowd. The billionaire's fists clenched. "You have no idea what you're saying," he snapped. "Then why aren't you denying it?" she fired back. That landed hard. For a second he had no response, only silence. Only the sound of the train doors sliding open behind him, waiting, calling. His assistant spoke again, more urgently now. "Sir, we have to go." The billionaire looked at the train, then back at her. "Last chance," she said, her voice quieter now but heavier. "Don't get on that train." Something inside him shifted, doubt, fear, memory. But then his expression hardened. "This ends now," he said. He turned sharply and walked toward the train. "Daniel, please," she called out. He didn't stop. "You couldn't save him then," she shouted, her voice cracking, "but you can save yourself now." He paused. Just for a second, the entire platform held its breath. Then he stepped onto the train. The doors slid shut, and the train began to move. The girl stood there, staring at it as it pulled away, her eyes filled with something deeper than fear, something heavier, regret. One of the guards approached her again. "You caused quite a scene." She didn't respond. She just whispered to herself. "I tried," and somewhere in the distance, the train disappeared into the tracks ahead. The train picked up speed. Inside, everything looked exactly the way it always did: polished wood panels, soft ambient lighting, the quiet luxury of a world built to feel untouchable. Daniel sat across from the window, his reflection staring back at him, calm on the outside. But his fingers tapped lightly against his knee. Once, twice. Again he stopped. "This is ridiculous," he muttered under his breath. Across from him, his assistant forced a smile. "Sir, with all due respect, people do this all the time. It's probably someone looking for attention. Or worse, someone planted to scare you." Daniel didn't respond. His mind replayed it, the way she said his name, the way she said the boy. His jaw tightened. "No one knows about that," he said quietly. The assistant hesitated. "Sir, nothing," Daniel snapped, straightening his jacket. "Contact the security team ahead. I want a full sweep at the next stop." "Already done," the assistant replied quickly. "Everything is secure." Secure, the word echoed in his mind. The train glided smoothly along the tracks, too smoothly. For a moment, he almost convinced himself she was wrong. Then, a sudden jolt. The entire carriage shook violently. Glasses rattled. A sharp metallic screech tore through the air. "What was that?" the assistant shouted, gripping the seat. Daniel stood up instantly. "Driver, report," no response. Another jolt, stronger this time. The lights flickered, and then darkness. A few seconds of complete silence. Before emergency lights blinked on in a dull red glow, the calm was gone. Passengers from other compartments shouted in confusion. Someone screamed. Daniel's heart began to pound. "Stay here," he ordered, moving toward the control section. But before he could take 2 steps, the train lurched again, harder than before. He grabbed onto a rail just in time. "Sir, you can't go out," his assistant began. "I said stay." He pushed forward, forcing open the door toward the crew cabin. Inside, chaos. One of the operators was on the floor, clutching his arm. Another was frantically trying to stabilize the controls. "What's happening?" Daniel demanded. The operator looked up, panic written all over his face. "The system's been compromised." "What does that mean?" "It means this isn't an accident," the man shouted. Someone tampered with the controls. We're losing braking power. Daniel felt it, that cold drop in his stomach. Her voice echoed in his head. "You won't come back alive." "Fix it," he said, his voice low but urgent. "We're trying," the operator snapped. "But it's like someone's overriding us remotely." Another violent shake. The train screeched as it sped along the track, faster now, unstable. How long? Daniel asked. The operator hesitated. That depends on whether we can regain control before the curve ahead. What curve? The man swallowed hard. A sharp one up ahead. Silence. Daniel didn't need more explanation. If the train hit that curve at this speed, it was over. For everyone. Do something. Daniel barked. I am. The operator shouted back. But whoever did this knew exactly what they were doing. Daniel stepped back slowly. His mind raced. This wasn't random. This wasn't fear. This was real, and suddenly, she didn't sound crazy anymore. Another jolt. Passengers screamed louder now. Some were crying. Others were trying to force doors open. Daniel grabbed his phone. No signal. Of course. Sir, oh, his assistant's voice came from behind him, shaking. What do we do? For the first time in years. Daniel didn't have an answer. The train sped forward, heading straight toward the curve. And then, a miracle. The system jolted again, hard. Then, the brakes slammed. The force threw everyone forward. Daniel hit the wall, pain shooting through his shoulder. Metal screamed against metal as the train fought itself to slow down. Seconds stretched like hours. Until finally, it stopped, dead. Silence, heavy breathing filled the air. No one moved, no one spoke. They were alive. Daniel slowly pushed himself up, his chest rising and falling rapidly. Report, he said, his voice hoarse. The operator checked the system, still shaking. We regained partial control. Something failed in the override. We don't know what, but it stopped just in time, just in time. Daniel closed his eyes for a second, then opened them again. She was right, he whispered. Hours later, the station was filled with flashing lights, investigators, and questions, but Daniel didn't stay. He left before the media could reach him, before anyone could ask anything. Because there was only one question in his mind. Who is she? It didn't take long to find her. She hadn't tried to hide. A small apartment, quiet street, far from his world. Daniel stood outside her door, alone this time. No guards, no assistant, just him. He knocked. A few seconds passed, then the door opened. She stood there, calm, like she had been expecting him. I was wondering how long it would take, she said. Daniel stared at her. You knew, he said. Yes, you knew exactly what would happen. Yes, how? His voice rose. How did you know? She didn't answer immediately. Instead, she stepped aside. Come in, he hesitated, then walked in. The apartment was simple, modest, nothing like his world. He turned to her again. I almost died today. I know. People almost died. I know. His frustration exploded. Then explain it. She met his eyes, and for the first time, there was emotion there. Deep, heavy. Pain because I've lived it before, she said quietly. Daniel frowned. What does that mean? She took a slow breath. Then said the words that changed everything. You remember the boy? Daniel's body went still. No, he said immediately. No. Yes, she cut in. You remember him. I don't know what you're talking about. Then I'll remind you. Her voice didn't shake. But it carried years of weight. 20 years ago. A decision you made. A deal you protected. A truth you buried. Daniel's face hardened. Stop. A boy died, she continued. Stop, and you walked away, she finished. Enough, Daniel shouted. Silence filled the room. His chest heaved. Her eyes didn't leave his. You chose your empire, she said softly. Over his life, Daniel looked away. For the first time, he couldn't face her. That's not what happened, he said, but his voice lacked conviction. Then what happened? She asked. He didn't answer. Because he knew, and so did she. A long pause stretched between them. Then, she said it, I'm his daughter. The words hit like a punch. Daniel's head snapped back toward her. No, he whispered. Yes, that's not possible. It is. He shook his head slowly, stepping back. He didn't have a daughter. He did, she said. You just never cared enough to find out? Silence again, heavy, crushing. Daniel's voice dropped to almost nothing. Why? She tilted her head slightly. Why what? Why warn me? He asked. After everything, why would you save me? For the first time, her composure cracked. Tears filled her eyes but didn't fall. Because I know what it feels like, she said, her voice trembling now, to lose someone and never get the chance to say goodbye. Daniel felt something break inside him. I couldn't let another family go through that, she continued. You should hate me, he said. I did, she replied. A beat. For a long time. I did, and now. She wiped her face quickly. Now I just wanted to stop. Daniel stood there, speechless, all his power, all his wealth, useless. I can help you, he said finally. Anything you want, money, a better life. She shook her head immediately. No. Why not? Because that's how you fix everything, isn't it? She said, money. He didn't respond. Some things don't work like that, she added. Another silence. Then she stepped back toward the door. You should go. Daniel didn't move. Go, she repeated, slowly. He turned and walked toward the door, but before he stepped out. She saved your life, she said behind him. He paused. Don't waste it. He nodded once, then left. Days later, the story of the train incident spread everywhere. Speculation, theories, noise, but the truth remained between two people. Daniel stood in his office, staring out at the city. Different now, quieter, for the first time in years. He felt the weight of everything he had done and everything he could still change. Far away, in a small apartment, the girl sat by the window, watching the world move on. She didn't want recognition. She didn't want revenge. She just wanted peace. And maybe